Dreams is a 1990 film by Akira Kurosawa. Dreams is a different type of movie, one that I haven't seen much of before. The movie is only a series of short films in succession, showing the dreams of one man throughout his life, starting with childhood and progressing with age. I will be offering my own interpretations of the dreams and what I think they mean. One thing I can say about the film is that it feels free, like the director did something he wanted to do, and he presented it as he wanted to present it. The film doesn't hold itself to reality. Instead, it lets the dreams flow in the way our minds would have them. Everything is shown with so much detail, and the choreography is spectacular. Every character in the film is placed in a satisfying way, and there are so many colors on screen that blend so well. This is the first film I have seen from Akira Kurosawa in color, and I am happy to say that it is truly one of the most beautiful movies I have ever seen. A film is a visual medium, and Kurosawa takes that to its fullest. Just looking at the film is an experience. The first dream is when the dreamer is a child, and it reflects the fears that a child has at that age. Fears that aren't as grounded as we will see later on in the dreams. They come from a lack of understanding of the world, from simply not having experienced enough of it. The fear of a child is being lost and set alone. At least in my case, I can confirm this. Being so young, the world is daunting, and one relies on their guardians for support. In this dream, the dreamer witnesses a supernatural procession. As a kid, dreams often held less realistic aspects. Dreams lie with a fear of ghosts and unexplainable beings, usually from the stories we have heard. I don't remember much of the mystical beings I encountered in my dreams as a kid, and it is hard to describe it, but this movie captures that feeling eerily. When the dreamer encounters this, they are only a watcher. The whole scene is beautifully done. It takes place during a sun shower and is based on Japanese folklore. When it rains but the sun is still visible, it is a trick by the foxes to keep the humans inside so they can still have their wedding in the sun without being watched. The dreamer breaks this rule, and when he is spotted, he returns to his house where his mother refuses to let him in, and he must beg for forgiveness from the foxes or never be let back in. He is told the foxes are under the rainbow. He travels there through a field of flowers, and the dream ends. While an interesting choice, it is very true that dreams go on and then just stop without any satisfying conclusion, leaving the dreamer at a loss for how the events they just seemingly lived through will end. It is these dreams that can leave one uncomfortable, as the lack of resolution from such a scary situation leaves an odd feeling for something that didn't really transpire. We want to know how it will go, but we will never really know how our mind was going to end that story. I find this dream interesting for capturing the feelings of being a child. I've had dreams when I was a child about my parents not acting or helping me when some sort of terrible situation was going on. Not that they reflected reality, it just reflected fears. This is what this movie does so well. It's really about how the sleeping mind interprets the fears and sorrow we receive in our waking lives while we sleep. The next dream captures the feelings of realizing one is growing up, but still stuck being not in the control of the world. This dream I would say is the most beautiful of them, but then again, they are all so beautiful that I can't really say any one of them was the most beautiful. They are all so in their own right. This one follows the dreamer as his sister refuses to believe him about what he is seeing, and then the dreamer's encounter with the spirits of the peach orchard. This one shows the want to be understood, from what I can gather. He is berated for letting the peach trees be cut down, but another one of the spirits contests that he had cried when the peach trees were removed, to which the first spirit responds that it was only because he likes peaches. This causes laughter among the spirits. The dreamer is still young at this point, and in the feelings of being a kid, you often feel misinterpreted by the adults in your lives, who don't fully capture the emotional intelligence a child can have concerning things such as loss or want. The dreamer yells that a peach can be bought, but where can you buy a whole orchard? When I was younger, I remember having dreams where I would finally voice my emotions, emotions I would never have the confidence to voice while awake. It is a way of the mind to seemingly give you some satisfaction to deal with your repressed emotions. And at this, the spirits agree with him and decide that he can have one last look at the peach trees. I find this interesting because I feel, at least in my case, that I can forget about how much more I care I could have for things when I was a kid. There was a tree in my front yard that I loved dearly, but my parents cut it down because it refused to grow. I can't understand why. The tree wasn't dead, it just didn't grow. I didn't want to see it removed, but none of my older siblings or parents held such an emotional connection to keep the tree. Maybe there is a beauty in being young, to have the care for such things. As responsibilities pile, there's less focus on our trees. This kid wanted to be understood, and he wanted to see the peach trees one last time, and the dream allowed it to happen. But just like any dream, it ends all too quickly once you finally realize the beauty that surrounds you. The later dreams will touch upon loss as well, but it is at these times where the mind can just let you see what you lost one more time. But until you remember that you really lost it, you can enjoy it. In later dreams, as the dreamer becomes an adult, these dreams of loss become self aware and filled with overwhelming emotion that makes the losses overbearing and the guilt known. When the dreamer steps through the hills only to see the peach trees as stumps, the feeling hits. For only a short story, everything feels right, it feels earned, because the feelings are universal. A kid cared for something that he lost, a care that wasn't just a simple want. Now it is gone, and there's no one there who understands, only his mind and his dreams. What I love about this movie is that each scene doesn't exist just to set up the next scene. They exist for themselves. It is beautiful how well done this is. Each scene is to present a new snapshot of the dreams of a growing person. Each dream is separate with their own meaning but shows a sense of maturing. In the dream, The Blizzard, I feel the sense of being stuck, the next step where we are trudging through life, but feeling as if we are getting nowhere, that it is taking longer than it should to get to our goals. I like that the director lets the scene of the men trekking through the snow go on, so we, the audience, can really feel the slow, tiresome movement of these men. The dream actually ends on a brighter note. After the dreamer refuses to give up, he finally awakes to find that they have unexpectedly made it to their camp. Though it is just a tent, they are overjoyed to see it. The dream of the tunnel may be one of the most haunting dreams in the movie. A man travels alone and encounters a tunnel. A dog runs out and barks at him. He passes this dog and continues. Once he reaches the other side of the tunnel, he hears the sound of a single soldier marching towards him. Dreams of seeing someone he lost can be surreal. In this dream, the dreamer is aware that the man in front of him is really dead. This causes the interaction to end because he asks him to return. Then the sound of 100 marching boots comes his direction. It is honestly almost a scary scene to hear the march of the soldiers waiting for them to come out of the tunnel. After pleading for them to go back, the dreamer resorts to ordering them as a military unit, using their loyalty to him as a leader. He gets them to go back into the tunnel. The dog runs out of the tunnel and begins barking at the man again, and that is where the dream ends. This one deals with guilt. It is unclear if the dreamer is actually a former military commander from World War II, or this is just his mind interpreting guilt. The only thing the dreamer can do is admit it was his fault. But it never goes away, as evidenced by the return of the dog. It never stops. He had to switch to a non emotional way to get the soldiers to leave. I too like the detail as well of the red light on the dreamer. I'd like to mention the Van Gogh dream as well. To meet a creator we admire in dreams is interesting. I like this one for showing the dreamer traversing his paintings because it captures the look of a dream. Van Gogh was a perfect artist to pick for this section, as his paintings reflect reality but are at the same time completely separate from it, like a dream. It is a beautiful scene, and I love all the scenery in the dream is made to look like a painting. Mount Fuji in red brings together the feelings of coming to understand the world as we become more aware of the world through media and the news. We come to learn of impending threats that can cost the whole world their lives, and we start to feel like we live in a very small place. As one passerby mentions, Japan is too small, we can't escape the disaster. We feel the weight of the world that we cannot control. Mount Fuji in red perfectly depicts this despair. The dreams we experience after hearing of a disaster, the dreams we cannot escape. The color palette of the dream is red, and the colors that stand out are for fear. As a businessman remarks, the color of the gases are so you know what they are, but that doesn't make them any less deadly. A mother says that the government and businesses promised such a disaster would never happen, but yet it all unfolds. What I find intriguing about this dream is the use of Mount Fuji, because it is a sturdy tower that has presided over Japan for centuries. It has appeared in artwork, and it feels like something that will always be there as it is. But in the dream, the mountain collapses, revealing even the sturdiest things in our lives are liable to fall apart and disappear. The detail of everyone's stuff on the ground, but the people gone, adds to this haunting image. The dream shows the anxiety caused by change, an irreversible change in life, that is piled on by the increasing tension of fears of humankind's descent to destruction. We feel the fear every day that humans are capable of creating disasters that can destroy us all, and these disasters are in control of other human beings, putting us at risk while making it feeling somewhat personal, as why can we let this happen? Why is this person in charge of such a thing? These fears jumble together in our minds and produce dreams that leave us lost, that show us our deaths, and it can feel crushing. What can we do but just feel the fear of it all? I like too that in the dream, you don't really know exactly what the disaster is or where it started. It gives you the sense of those dreams where you just know something bad's happening, but you don't have it all together. The interesting thing about these dreams is that they started in nature, and often in areas filled with flowers and life. As the dreams continue, the flowers disappear or become distorted, instead giving way to desolate landscapes. The ocean waves are massive and destructive, waves that ensure death. The air is poison and the ground dead. But in the last dream, the dreamer finally steps into a peaceful village, one that is filled with every type of flower and flowing water, clean air, and blue skies. The dreamer has grown older and wiser. The dream concerns death, but nature as well. It is a celebration of life. This dream feels like a return to the appreciation of the world that a child has, while having a new and more informed outlook on it. Each dream carries an environmental message, and a message concerning life. This one says that life is worth living, and the saying, life is hard, is considered just talk in the dream. The dreamer encounters an old man that talks about the first love breaking his heart, and then goes on to describe how modern life of the people in the cities is distracting them from what is important. They aren't living. It isn't living to wait for death. Out in the village, life is peaceful and focused on what is important, those around us. They don't even put any importance on naming the village. They just go about their day. The village still experiences death and heartbreak, but something is clearer there. Maybe it is the lack of electronics and cars, the lack of business and jobs. The village exists for no selfish reason. People seem a lot more chill without advertisements and clocks. They aren't being timed at every second of the day. They are not being manipulated into want. They are just living. This dream is quite relaxing, and it leaves the movie on an interesting note. The film is really worth watching, and I think there are many interpretations of each dream that one can gain from it. I looked at this movie for my own dreams in life, but my way of looking at it is not the only way. Even if you watch this full review and haven't seen the movie, I would still suggest watching it, even after hearing a lot about it. Well, that's all I got for today's video. Hopefully you have some good dreams tonight.